Hi everyone, it's Bella, and today I'd like to talk to you about the new moon we will have in Aries on the 1st of April at 11 degrees of Aries. Now today I'm doing things a little bit differently. I haven't had the proper preparation time I normally do. So I just want to casually talk about the energies we are experiencing at this time. And as you can probably notice, we have way more forward momentum at this time. There is a lot going on and things are moving quickly. We have the Sun and Mercury and Chiron being activated right now with the moon in Aries. We have Jupiter making its way swiftly towards Neptune, to the conjunction we will have there on the 12th of April. Very, very powerful conjunction. And then we also have still Mars and Venus and Saturn in Aquarius as well, with Uranus still hanging out in Taurus, and we're still in the Kala Sharpa Yoga with all the planets on the one side of the north and south node of the moon currently. So we're still in an extreme event energy. We're still in an energy where things are moving quickly, but we are also much more spiritually attuned with the strong Piscean influence of Jupiter and Neptune. So I believe that many events worldwide will also bring us into much more compassion for each other and kindness, as well as spiritual attunement, much more than ever before. I also think that it's very important at this time to really make our decisions intentional. Whatever it is that we are doing, we are making big decisions and big choices at this time. We are ending and beginning things. We are also ending and beginning relationships. And we are really delving deep into our emotional side. So it can be also that we feel a bit uncertain at this time, as if we have some facts that we can move forward on, but we also have a certain amount of uncertainty, not knowing how things will exactly work out. And I think it's important for us to remember that right now, it's just important to focus on what you can do, be very honest with your feelings, and move forward with what you can and give the rest to God and surrender the rest to Him, because there are certain details that we just will not know as of yet. And isn't life just pretty much always giving us those in any way for us to surrender and have a certain amount of faith? We also have a lot of spiritual warrior energy here as well. And I think a lot more people will be tapping into prayer and meditation over the next few weeks with the extreme energies we're going into. We have a lot of energy in April that's moving us forward in big, big ways. And as they say, also with a lot of the relationship issues we've been having, whether it's with partnerships or close personal relationships, that have been really triggering our inner wounds. And as they say, if it hurts, you're getting closer, because the things that hurt tells us that there are underlying needs that need to be met. But ultimately, this new moon is a new beginning. It's a new astrological year. It's a new season, and it is really a new you in so many ways. It's an action and decision-making point, a clarity point. It's a faded point, personally as well as for the world. And it's a busy time. And it sets the stage really for the next month and the year really, but definitely for the next month. but extreme and dynamic change regarding love, relationships, partnerships, money, what we desire, food, supply lines, comforts, self-worth, oil and energy. As we've seen, the oil prices rise to an extreme amount. I think it will keep going up at this time, with Jupiter and Neptune also conjuncting, ruling oil in Pisces, that also deals with oil. We can expect more water topics coming up with all this strong Piscean energy, flooding, drownings, water toxicity in areas, and pollution. Our values, currencies, and the general restriction versus freedom. And then, like I mentioned, spiritual warfare as well. And our vulnerabilities are more highlighted here now, especially with Chiron in the mix, and how we feel validated. Our relationships are getting a reality check. So it's important to tap into that and to figure out what it is that your feelings are really revealing to you at this time. A new sense of self and self-worth can emerge as we become more aware of what needs more healing, what we may be done healing, and what we maybe haven't started to heal yet. Maybe we've thought we've dealt with certain things and now we've figured out we're not done dealing with them yet. And at this point, it might be okay to just accept where we're at, but realize also what we need going forward. And this in itself can be a freedom and an empowerment, not only for ourselves, but also for our relationships. But it's also important to really get to a point of developing non-attachment and to seek healing and wholeness with ourselves first. It also does make you more emotionally bulletproof in a sense, as you start taking responsibility for your own healing, and which ultimately brings you more fulfillment as we realize our happiness depends on ourselves and the choices we make from here on out going forward. So we can ask ourselves what needs more work and what is ready to be transformed. What do you value now, and how are you taking responsibility for your own healing and growth? What are you allowing or not allowing? What are you acknowledging? Are you ready to be the healthiest version of you? So make sure your choices now are intentional with where you're going, within yourself as well. And a lot of the things that we can experience at this time with Chiron in this intense new moon energy is inner child wounds that can come out. An abandonment wound, for example, can make you feel left out. You can have fear of being left. You can maybe hate being alone, or it can induce codependency. You can be someone that tends to threaten to leave a relationship or leave a situation. And it can cause you to attract emotionally unavailable people. So that wound stays wounded. So these are some key things you can look at to see where your triggers are coming from and what needs to be transformed here and how it's affecting your relationships. The guilt wound can make you feel sorry all the time, apologizing all the time. It can make you not want to ask for things. It can cause you to use guilt in order to manipulate. You can be afraid to set boundaries. And you can attract people who make you feel guilty all the time, so that you're constantly in that same wounding. Because these wounds can feel familiar to us. We can attract people that make us feel at home or familiar to what we had as children or growing up, but it's not necessarily what's good for us or what's healthy for us. because it feels familiar, but that does not necessarily mean that it's good. The trust wound, for example, can mean that we're afraid to be hurt. We don't trust ourselves and we don't trust others. And we find ways not to trust others. Without doing this consciously, it just happens automatically. We can feel insecure and need a lot of external validation from others. And it can make us feel unsafe. And we can attract people who don't feel safe, who we don't feel safe around. Then we also have, for example, the neglect wound, where we can struggle to let things go. We can have a very low self-worth. We can get angry easily. We can struggle in the process of saying no. We can repress emotions. We can have a fear of being vulnerable. And we can attract people who don't appreciate us, or on purposely stonewall us, or on purposely not see us. We can constantly feel like we're not being seen and we're not being heard. So these are important things to look at when you are being triggered in relationships, because after all relationships are there for us to grow out of. And beneath every behavior, there is a feeling. And beneath each feeling, there's a need. And when we meet that need, rather than focus on the behavior, we begin to deal with a cause. And not just the outward symptom of it all. So just to recap, for example, unhealed trauma can look like a low sense of self-worth, codependency in relationships, a fear of abandonment, putting your needs aside for other people, craving external validation, an innate feeling of shame, not being able to tolerate conflict, being overtly agreeable, being a people pleaser, difficulty standing up for yourself or asserting boundaries, tolerating abusive behaviors from others, resisting positive change, always fearing what might happen next. So these are some good things to really ponder upon with these triggers that we might be going through right now. There can also be great teaching opportunities here in order to help others. I always think that when you have been through things in your life that has made you wiser and stronger, that has been painful, the things that you've been vulnerable, the areas that you've been vulnerable in, the things that you've been struggling with, are the things you know really, really deeply and really, really well. And those are ways that you can help others. And I truly believe that God brings people into your life that struggle with the same issues, and somehow some people have that strength again for you to learn from, and others come into your sphere for you to help and heal. And these types of energies are great for healing and helping others, especially for people that have been through similar experiences, and that you can really help from a place of experience and true understanding for the other person as well. So I think there's great opportunity here for relationships to heal, or at least to begin the healing process, where you can really recognize what the cause of a lot of the issues are. And for some relationships, I think there might come an understanding where you might realize it is the end of the road for that, and that you cannot go forward with it any longer, or that soul contract has ended, and what needed to be learned has been learned. But I would like to finish with reading for you the inside degrees for 11 degrees of Aries. Sunlight illuminating dust in the air. This marvel is that the observer exerts so strong a presence, yet disappears into the atmosphere. You find yourself to be centrally pivotal, yet subtly underlyingly a pure witness to the objective turn of events. You inhabit the edge between self-will and a higher will. You hold to the sharp borderline between the infinite and the finite, so that you can create yourself anew out of a whole cloth. Transformation can take many forms. You are endowed here with power of wishing, the capacity to visualize and imagine whatever comes next, an astounding skill at coming back to life, recreating everything, taking into yourself worlds ending and worlds beginning. All is poised within, a way of looking at things that magnifies the wonder and overcomes all of the dross, in a strong quest to find yourself amidst the debris of lost worlds and to salvage the dream and the vision. So we're in a period of bravery and new beginnings, and also a lot of uncertainty. But we can put our faith in the Most High God, and we can move forward, making intentional choices. Thank you for listening. May the sun shine bright on you this day. May there be blessings coming your way. Until next time.